Good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to Quito. I am a representative of the rural sector of the city. And I hope that you have been happy in our country and our city for these few days, and that your stay will continue to be good. And I wish you prosperity for the year 2015. In June 2013, Edward Snowden surprised the entire world by revealing the massive surveillance and indiscriminate programs implemented by the United States through its security agencies in collaboration with the largest internet companies of the world. For Ecuador, this is a major concern to know that despite this scandalous revelation, the international community has not been able to limit the intervention of espionage in our daily lives. Probably this is partly due to the lack of knowledge, widespread ignorance about the scope and magnitude of these massive surveillance programs. Probably it also has to do with the fact that there is a complicity amongst the different states who have collaborated directly in these activities that must all be condemned. This type of practice continues, and our liberties are being threatened. It was after the 9/11 incident that on behalf of national security and the fight against terrorism, the United States of America started the implementation of massive surveillance programs with respect to the flow of information on Internet through programs such as PRISM that enable any type of access to all types of information from any computer anywhere in the world. Score, which enables the processing and storage of metadata, and that also programs of telephone surveillance of entire nations. This type of technology is not subject to any type of parliamentary control by the U.S. Congress. Indeed, the legislation of the United States, especially the FISA law or the Executive 1233, permits massive espionage, especially on foreign citizens who cannot benefit from any type of legal guarantee. This arrogance, based on an exceptional state of law, has led the United States to believe that they are the only ones authorized to have a monopoly of control, of monopolistic control over society. They have enabled this to justify permanent surveillance of many different countries whose citizens nevertheless do not benefit from any kind of legal guarantee to tackle these abuses. Because of this, we believe it is our duty as parliamentarians to call your attention about these excesses based on the dangerous idea that only one state, only one single country is sufficiently important to permit this type of surveillance of the entire world on behalf of their own security. But these activities developed by the NSA and other intelligence services of the USA, it's not simply the fact that we at all times are subject to this surveillance. What is even more severe is that there are medium and long-term impacts that will be evaluated over the long term only. These intelligence programs limit the principle of neutrality on Internet, transforming Internet as a point of contention. The most servers and optical fibers and installations that permit their functioning end up in the United States. And so the network, the Internet, is a virtual space whose jurisdiction has not been clearly defined or limited by international law. In addition to this, not only is the citizen without any defense it also confines creativity and imposes censorship, prior censorship, on matters that can be polemical. Cybernauts do not want to talk about this. There are few conscientious objectors against this, like Julian Assange or Edward Snowden. They are the only ones who have been bold enough to publish what is going on systematically against our basic human rights as enshrined in the UN Charter. They are now paying dearly, such as punishment by exile, or the specific case of Julian Assange, who is an Australian citizen belonging to this Asia-Pacific, who does not have the right for effective legal safeguard and a right to defense in a process that 28 months ago forced him to take asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Chelsea Manham have lost their liberty, John Teragui, and even others have died, such as Aaron Schwartz and Michael Hastings. But the perverse impacts of this illegal activity to privilege information can also be found in the trade sector. The countries of our region go to negotiations and trade conferences in a position of a disadvantage compared to those who control information. Corporations see that years of investigation come to nothing because of industrial espionage, and governments in our region must face cyber attacks that undermine their defense systems. Our colleagues have left the traditional field of war to bring battles to computers. Free enterprise is undermined by global espionage, and the corporations of our region lose their competitive edge in front of companies in the north that have a competitive advantage because of the information they have. Information is limited because of this control. Even the simplest communications among states are affected by this huge northern brother. As George Orwell said in his book 1984, this big brother that a small country that is sovereign would like to face the giant. Therefore, Ecuador, this small country, has proposed to condemn massive surveillance that undermines the right to privacy. We want to go even beyond that. We want to propose solutions and alternatives that enable us as citizens, as countries, and as regions to empower information and communication technologies and find alternatives to tackle this reality. Another alternative, for example, the use of free open software and hardware, which is an essential tool so that we as citizens can protect our intimacy. And this is the basis for the building informatic systems that are free. We have to build a direct communication channels between our countries that do not go through U.S. territory. And because of this, I call all of our parliamentarians of the region to promote the development of an infrastructure that brings us together, that connects us, and that ensures our sovereignty, our technological sovereignty in the Asia-Pacific. I just have one paragraph left, please. At the same time, I believe that as representatives of our citizens, it is indispensable that we defend civil liberties. In addition to that, we cannot stay idle in front of the many retaliations against those who informed us of these practices that do not respect the sovereignty of persons and states. Many of them are being judged for treason and espionage, even though they are the very ones who have shown us that they are truly loyal and faithful to their democratic allegiances and seek to ensure the sovereignty of people and their states, even though at the